The hallway seemed endless, each painting staring into her soul as if the house itself was testing her. And in that final moment, she realized the truth. The house wasn't haunted. It was alive. But the worst part wasn't what she saw. It was what she heard, moving closer with every step. From the moment she arrived, the house didn't feel empty. It felt aware.
Have you ever felt like a house was alive, watching your every move? Tonight, I'll take you inside a place where walls have eyes and silence hides something terrifying. Once you hear this story, you'll never look at your own home the same way again. They say houses can carry memories, but some carry something far worse. At the edge of Willow Creek, surrounded by a dying forest, stood a house everyone avoided. People called it the house that watches you. The windows always seemed like eyes, staring at anyone who dared pass by. Some swore the curtains twitched when no one was inside. Others claimed they could feel a gaze, cold and heavy, pressing down on them the closer they walked to its porch. For decades, the house remained empty, decaying slowly under storms and seasons, but its legend grew. No one wanted to buy it, and no one wanted to know why. Until a man named Daniel arrived. Daniel wasn't a believer in ghost stories. He was practical, rational, the kind of person who laughed at tales of haunted houses and cursed lands. He was a writer looking for solitude, and when he saw the listing, a sprawling 2-story house for almost nothing, he thought it was perfect. Cheap, quiet, and isolated, the ideal place to finish his novel, everyone in town warned him. The cashier at the grocery store whispered, "Don't stay there after dark." The old man at the gas station muttered, "That place don't belong to the living." Even the realtor avoided eye contact as she slid the keys across the table. But Daniel shrugged it all off as superstition. On his first night, he unpacked only the essentials: a lamp, his typewriter, and a bottle of whiskey. He set up in the dusty living room, where cobwebs draped the corners and the fireplace hadn't seen flame in years. The air smelled of damp wood and something faintly metallic, but he told himself it was just age. At midnight, when the forest outside went silent, Daniel finally noticed it. The feeling, the unshakable sensation that he was not alone. He sat at his desk, staring at the page, but every few minutes his eyes drifted to the windows. They were tall and narrow, and in the dark they reflected only faint glimmers of the lamp. Still, he couldn't shake the thought that something behind the glass was staring in. He laughed nervously at himself and took another drink. But then he heard it, a creak upstairs, slow, deliberate. He froze, listening. Another creak, then silence. Daniel grabbed his flashlight and climbed the staircase. The old wood groaned beneath him, but the house gave no answers. He checked every room, empty, dusty, still. Yet when he returned downstairs, the curtains in the living room were open. He knew he had closed them earlier. Outside, the night stretched endlessly, fog swirling against the glass. He pulled the curtains shut, double-checked the locks, and told himself he was imagining things. But when he sat back down, he realized his typewriter had moved. Only an inch, but enough to make his blood run cold. For the next week, things grew worse. He would wake at night to find all the doors open. His belongings shifted from one room to another. Once he found muddy footprints leading from the front door into the kitchen, though the ground outside was dry. He wrote less and less, consumed instead by the gnawing certainty that the house was watching him. He could feel it in the way the floorboards creaked in rhythm with his footsteps. He could hear it in the faint whispers echoing in the walls when he tried to sleep. He began covering the mirrors after waking one night to see not his own reflection, but a pale face standing behind him, watching silently until he screamed and it vanished. One stormy evening, as lightning slashed across the sky, Daniel finally tried to leave. He packed what little he had, stuffed the keys in his pocket, and rushed for the door. But the moment his hand touched the knob, Every window in the house slammed open at once, curtains whipping violently, though there was no wind. The door refused to budge. He pulled, twisted, kicked, but it was locked tight from the inside. The lights flickered, the walls shook, and then he heard it. A voice, low and cold, coming from everywhere at once. "Don't go, stay." Daniel stumbled back, his chest heaving. The air grew heavy, pressing against him like an invisible weight. From the corner of his eye, he saw movement to shadow shifting across the wall, long and thin, moving independently of him. It crawled upward, stretching to the ceiling, until two enormous eyes opened in the plaster above him, glowing faintly white. They blinked and he realized the house wasn't just haunted. The house was alive. It had always been alive, and it was hungry. He backed into the living room, clutching his flashlight like a weapon. The floorboards groaned under his weight, but this time they sounded more like a growl, vibrating through his bones. The fireplace roared to life, flames crackling high, though he had never touched it. In the firelight, faces flickered in the smoke, faces twisted with terror, screaming, mouths wide in silent agony. Daniel realized they were the house's victims. Those who had come before him, those who never left. He ran to the staircase, but the steps melted into darkness, stretching upward into a void. He turned toward the kitchen, but the doorway paused, breathing, shrinking smaller until it vanished into the wall. Every escape sealed itself, and the house seemed to laugh, a low rumble echoing through the beams. Then the whispers returned. Hundreds of voices overlapping, hissing, chanting, "Watch, watch, watch." Daniel clamped his hands over his ears, but the voices crawled inside his skull, drilling into his mind. He staggered back, and when he looked at the window, his breath caught in his throat. Outside, the fog had thickened, and pressed against the glass were pale faces. Dozens of them, eyes wide, unblinking, watching him. They were reflections, they weren't illusions, they were real. Souls trapped in the house, staring in forever. He collapsed onto the floor, shaking, whispering, "Please let me go." The house whispered back, "You are mine now." And with that, the floor beneath him split open, swallowing him into the darkness below. The neighbors said they never saw Daniel again. His car remained in the driveway, his belongings inside, but the man himself was gone. When the sheriff investigated, he found nothing unusual. Just an old house, empty and silent, though he swore he felt eyes on him as he left. Years passed, but the legend only grew stronger. People walking by still claimed to see faces in the windows, still swore they heard whispers in the wind. They called it cursed, a place where the walls breathe and the shadows move. Some said the house takes those who are lonely, those who think no one is watching, and keeps them forever. Others said the house doesn't just watch you, it learns you, studies you, and waits until you finally belong to it. To this day, the house that watches you remains standing, its windows dark, its porch empty. But if you stand too close, you'll feel it, the cold weight of unseen eyes pressing down on you, the faint sound of whispering in your ears. And if you're foolish enough to step inside, remember, it won't just watch you, it will never let you leave. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't keep it to yourself, share it with someone who dares to listen. Subscribe to Mire Haven for more terrifying tales that keep you awake at night. Because the next horror might be closer than you think.